Every industry is collapsing, and if you've been following the crypto market, you know that Bitcoin's price has dropped to almost historic lows, stocks are not performing, and on top of that, prices of goods and services, electricity and oil are rising up. Well, that's a recession for you, and for most people, these will be hard times that will see them losing their jobs, struggling to make ends meet, and most horribly, probably having to sell some of their goods, properties, or whatever they own to be able to pay off debts, mortgage loans, and other payments that they can afford to skip. But is there any way to actually turn these apparently disastrous times into an opportunity, profiting off of everything that's going on in the world right now? Well, fortunately for you, there is, and that's exactly what most rich people are doing to maintain their wealth and even increase it during times of economic collapse. But contrary to the general opinion, it is not impossible for a normal individual like you or me to pull off the same strategy and see their wealth not only keep level but even go up by the time the recession ends. To see how you can do that, first you need to understand the fundamentals of a recession. A recession occurs when a region's economy declines over several months or even years. During these periods, the region's gross domestic product or GDP, or the total value of the goods and services it produces, drops. At the same time, dramatic changes may occur in the price of commodities like oil or gas. Previously profitable industries may suddenly become less valuable. Consumers may see increased inflation or higher than normal levels of unemployment. As a result, consumer confidence also suffers, meaning that people may be less willing to spend money than they would usually. In 2008, for example, Americans experienced a significant recession following the sudden collapse of the US housing market. More recently, the COVID-19 or coronavirus pandemic caused major losses in daily business and employment across multiple industries including hospitality, retail, and tourism. As a result, the US faced a short recession during the early months of 2020. During periods of recession, companies make fewer sales and economic growth stalls or becomes non-existent. To cut rising costs, organizations may be forced to lay off large portions of their staff, resulting in widespread unemployment. At the same time, hiring slows down, making it difficult for the newly unemployed to find another job. Investments like stocks and real estate tend to lose money, meaning that retirement and other savings account can suffer. Lenders may also respond to the increased financial uncertainty by raising their lending requirements, making it much more difficult for people to qualify for new credit accounts. Recessions are an unavoidable part of any economy, but you can weather the storm by anticipating challenges early and preparing for the future. Now, a global recession may occur under certain circumstances, and that's what is happening right now. Because the US is the most powerful economy in the world, whenever it's struggling, their struggles will have consequences over the rest of the world. And on top of that, let's not forget global factors such as the pandemic that's been slowing businesses down for the most part of the last 2 years, and the war that's going on in Ukraine right now, which has had drastic impacts over Europe's economy, with electricity and gas prices skyrocketing and leaving most of us in uncertainty on how we're gonna keep up with the cost for the upcoming months. Now, with that in mind, let's see what you should do to get ahead of 99% of people during times of economic collapse. 1. The first thing you'll want to keep in mind during a recession is the famous quote, "Cash is king." Because virtually all assets are depreciating in value, you don't want to be in the position where you'll have to sell some of yours, such as a property you own, stocks, or Bitcoin, to be able to keep up with your monthly payments, as you'll end up selling for a lot less than your asset's real value, losing money on the long run. Imagine you have a property which has been evaluated at $1 million, but you're selling it for $400,000 because you just need the money urgently. That's a loss of $600,000, and if you had a steady cash flow or just cash reserves, you wouldn't have needed to sell your asset. Now, that's just an example, but you can adjust it to any amount since the principles remain the same. 2. Now let's turn to the other end of the spectrum. Let's suppose you do have a cash flow or cash reserves that are not only sustaining your living costs, but even exceed it, leaving you with extra cash at the end of the month that you have nothing to do with. In a recession, this is the perfect time to start throwing that money into other people's assets because of what we talked about in number 1. You want to be the one that's buying whatever other people are selling at a loss to be able to make ends meet, thus accumulating wealth by buying assets at a price that's much lower than their real worth. It's a pretty simple principle and you probably understand it by now, so let's move to the next part and see how you can actually build sources of income that are gonna bring you extra cash you need in order to build wealth. Your job is your most precious line of income. You'll want to keep your job at all costs, or whatever it is that's providing you with the money you need to survive at a moment, so you don't end up in the position to not be able to make ends meet because everything goes downhill from there. Once you have a steady line of income that's sustaining your way of going about every day, it's time to focus on building something that can provide extra. What is that? I'm gonna go ahead and say that an online business like YouTube is literally the most fail-proof source of income you can go for during a recession. Unlike traditional businesses which are very much affected by the current economic situation, a YouTube channel isn't, because most people still want to consume entertainment and have a way to relax after barely being able to make ends meet during the day. Even if you think that no one will want to watch your silly vlogs during hard times, they still want to consume content, no matter if it's an entertainment channel or an educational one or whatever. Just look at what people are interested in at the moment and start working on a way to bring them content related to that, answering questions questions and uncertainties they might have on the subject, and that's sure to bring you a following. As a real life example, just take the video that you're watching right now. To sum everything up, going through a recession is not that bad if you know how to behave and how to handle one. If you're already the owner of a business which is making you enough money to go buy and even more than that, now it's time to focus on lowering your expenses and investing in depreciated assets such as Bitcoin, which is standing at only $16,000 now compared to its all-time high of almost 70,000, and many say chances are it will go even lower than that. If you can afford to save up a part of your income for investing it, then now is the time to work on building something that will bring you that extra cash flow. The only thing you need to pay attention to is what you are actually investing in, as many companies who might have looked like the perfect opportunities are going down to the point of bankruptcy, defying anyone's expectations, as it was the case with FTX. And if you don't know what happened to them, or just want to understand the mechanics of it better, you should go and watch our video on that next.